If you're looking to compose with organically captured recordings of thunder, rain, birds, or any other environmental sounds, then Spitfire Audio's free organic textures could be for you. Hey everyone, my name is Robert Rodriguez and I'm a media composer. If you're new here, I want to invite you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. My goal is to help brand new composers feel confident in their own music writing process. Last week, Spitfire Audio released the latest installment to their lab series, Organic Textures. And if you have seen some of my videos, then you'll know that I love Spitfire products and how they provide samples for everyone's budget. Labs are free libraries from Spitfire that anyone can just download and use. Now, organic textures are synth-like pads that were created from natural and earthy sounds. And they were captured by Dan Keene, an in-house Spitfire composer and YouTuber. Dan has actually been a huge inspiration for my own channel, so when I found out that he created these free samples, I was extremely excited to try them out. And I do think it's a little important to point out that these organic textures do have a little bit of history behind them. Over on Piano Book, these were originally known as Thrumming Textures Earth. And Piano Book is a place where musicians and samplers can create instruments for others in the composer community. According to their site, these thrumming textures, now known as organic textures, were created during the 2020 lockdown. And these patches could be as simple as trees rustling, birds chirping, or raindrops hitting an umbrella. But then Dan took these natural environmental recordings and really processed them to create the organic textures that we have now. Now, it seems like Spitfire took those thrumming textures and officially released them as organic textures as part of their lab series. This is a huge honor and accomplishment, so congrats to Dan. That is awesome. So in order to get started with these labs, head on over to Spitfire's site and you can download the organic textures for free. Other than a computer or DAW, all you need to get started is the installation center from Spitfire Audio. When you click free download, it'll prompt you to download the app. And then once you do, you can get all of their sample libraries in this one installation app. So since I already have it, it's going to want me to just open up Spitfire Audio. These are all of their labs that are readily available to install once I have the app on my computer. All right, so I found Organic Textures. It's going to be 140.5 megabytes. I'll install it. I want it to go to a pre-assigned Spitfire location on my external hard drive. I will download. And because it's so small, it's going to take less than a minute to download and install. All right, so the downloading is done. Go to Labs. It'll show up under Installed, and I honestly could just go ahead and get the rest of these. And I do just want to point out that this app is going to host all of your Spitfire products. So I have like different Albions, Aperture, Discover, a few Olafur Arnold's libraries, the Contemporary Drama Toolkit. So these are all of my Spitfire products, all hosted in one installation app. So if anything were to go wrong, I could just uninstall, reinstall through here. So I'll be working in Logic, and I'm going to go down to Instruments, Spitfire Audio, and these are the different dedicated instruments that they offer. We're gonna go to Labs and Create. So this is their own dedicated plugin. It's not running on Contact or Play or Opus. This is Spitfire's own plugin. So as you can see, it already comes up with organic textures, but it's meant to be very simple and clean. Now, I've already talked about in another video how I'm not crazy about their design for this. I think all of this extra space is a little bit too much, but they just want it to look clean and simple. So by having extra space, it makes this, I guess, in comparison, seem smaller, easier to look at. But if you were to click this arrow, it'll show you all of their different types of patches. So synths, keys, drums, pianos, all of that, strings, brass. You could just scroll through, or you can divide it by section. Organic textures will fall under the synth category. And it comes with 5 different presets. So let's get started with the first patch, Thunder and Birdsong. So what's nice about this plugin is that everything is pretty simple to use. This left fader is going to be your expression, and I kind of know that because it's routed to CC11 already, and CC11 is typically going to be your expression. And on my keyboard, I already have a fader that is assigned to CC11, so it's naturally just going to know to use that fader. Then the right fader is going to be your mod wheel, and most keyboards are going to come with some type of wheel or dedicated knob, and that's going to adjust your modulation. And that is automatically going to be routed to CC1, which is commonly known as modulation. And then this huge knob kind of in the center of the plugin is going to affect a few different things. If you press it, you have a few different options to actually pick from. Right now, it's on the reverb. And so the reverb is going to affect the space that the sample is in. So right now, it's at 20% reverb, so it's not going to be too much. You have variation, attack, decay, sustain, and release. These are all very common knobs found really on any plugin, any kind of preset. So it's good that they're giving you this option. The only one is variation. So we will see what that actually does soon. So let's just kind of stick with the normal setting and see what we get. That's nice. So basically it has kind of this airy droning sound, and that is kind of where the pitch falls. And then it has a lot of this extra sound. So I'm thinking the bird song is going to be all of those little bird flutterings. I want to compare maybe a C2 to C4. It's a low hum. And those birds are really kind of pitched lower. C4. And I do want to point out that this actually is going to be using one sample. So a lot of times when samples are recorded, they might have multiple variations of one note, and that is going to give you your round robins. This is only using one sample per note. So every time you press C, I let go, and then it should be the exact same sample if I press it again. And you can tell by listening to the patterns of the birds. This is a longer kind of sustained note, so it is harder to tell the difference. But if you were to just keep pressing it over and over and over, you can really pick up the single patch that's being played. But what I like about it is that you're not really going to be playing the single note over and over and over again. If you were to kind of sustain these notes and pitches, everything kind of blends together and you can kind of get it to evolve, especially if you're moving from one chord to another. And what I like is that this is almost like softer thunder. You know, it's not going to be like hard crashing. It's kind of almost like thunder in the distance. And I do know that Dan did process a lot of these individual instruments. So maybe thunder alone and then maybe birdsong alone. So the thunder is turned into a musical pitch rather than just being an effect. I really like the environment that this low end takes up. We're really making it spacey. And the release seems to be relatively long, I think. Yeah, so even when you let go, it's gonna take about 2.5 seconds to actually die off. So let's try variation. This is something I haven't really seen. Maybe I've just missed it in the past, but so right now it's at 50%. Oh. So it really emphasizes, I guess, the droning pitch. I guess the thunder part of it. And as you increase, you get more birds, you get more... You really just get more, like, effects. This is actually something that I am really happy they included, because if you can't really affect the patch itself and you just have that bird in the background, maybe that isn't exactly what you want for a particular scene that you're scoring, or just if you're writing music that uses these kinds of sounds. But being able to assign maybe a knob or something to this variation knob, and then bringing in and out these natural recordings of like birds, thunder, wind, whatever, then that kind of makes your music breathe a little bit. So I just picked a spare knob on my keyboard. On here it's cut off, but let's see, 78. I don't know what that was, but it's variation now. So maybe if I were to record... Cool. And roughly I got in a simple chord progression. Oh no, it didn't capture the first few. Okay, that's fine. It's whatever. We'll go to automation. So according to Logic, this was vibrato delay, but according to our plugin, we know that it is the variation. And so you can kind of see how I continuously moved the knob when it was going up, and then when I brought it back down. So that's really cool. So let's move on. If you can either click this knob, go to thunder and rain, or you can just click the next button and it'll get the next preset. So everything is once again kind of back to its original default setting, and this is thunder and rain. That is almost, I don't want to say electronic, it almost has like a beeping sound. Obviously that's the rain, but almost a little crunchy. And you can almost hear the birds still. I think there are still birds in the background. And the pitch almost sounds like an EQ, and he maybe like filtered out or shelved out two sides, but maybe like brought up a specific frequency that might have sounded like thunder or something. You can really hear it with like a single pitch. That's really cool. Oh, so this actually can go pretty low. It loses a lot of its quality down here, so maybe it's not meant to, but maybe you do get like a low rumbling bass. this is going to affect... Okay, yes, so all of these are affected by my one knob assigned to variation. So if I were to lower it all the way, you just get those 2 pitches. Bring in the rain. And then maybe affect modulation, expression. Very nice. You can really do some awesome stuff with that. So that was Thunder and Birdsong, Thunder and Rain. Now we bring in Wind and Birdsong. So we're back to normal. Let's just... The wind is almost like a smoother version of the thunder. The thunder was a bit harsher, especially in the upper range. It really sounded like was shot up in one frequency. This is definitely a calmer, soothing, I guess, windy sound. I really like Wind and Birdsong. I think that's my favorite so far. I do want to just hear wind without maybe the birds in the background. All right, so that was Wind and Birdsong. Next up is Wind and Rain. Yeah, Wind and Rain. So we should get that maybe soothing wind pitch and then raindrops, I guess. Wind and Rain, very similar to Thunder and Rain. I just want to hear... verses. So those two are very similar. Like I said, Thunder has a bit more of a harsher upper register. Wind is a bit more mellowed out, but the Rain is basically the same. Next up, the last one is Wind and Thunder. So let's see how the Wind and Thunder combine together. Ah. I think I like Wind and Thunder either the best or maybe like second. It doesn't have obviously the more effect sound of the birds and the rain, but it does have this just ambient quality. And what happens if I take out the variation altogether? It really brings in that high end. And when I turned it all the way down, the wind and the thunder were both affected to kind of really give off a whisper. Like expression and modulation are almost all the way up, and it's still just a far off kind of sound. But bring that up. That's really cool. And that's it. So those are our 5 presets. And I do just want to mention that if you are brand new to composing, I want you to check out my free composer reference guide. It's basically a downloadable PDF that categorizes the characteristics of different film and TV genres. So if you do want that overview to help you start composing in different styles, check out the description link down below. So organic textures is great for anyone looking for ambient samples of actual recorded earthy sounds. Like I mentioned, there are only 5 patches that come with this library, which is a little bit small in comparison to other Spitfire labs. But I do love the fact that each patch is a mix of different samples. So you have like your wind and thunder, but you also have wind and rain. But then you also have thunder and rain, and then thunder and birdsong, but then it connects back to wind again with wind and birdsong. So it does kind of give you that interweaving sound. And the fact that you can add in variation, then, you know, you have a really dynamic sample library that is free. And within the span of 1 week, Spitfire released a top tier Albion library as well as a free labs library. And even though the pricing definitely varies, they both contain quality samples. I think this just shows the range that Spitfire has with their products and how they're really trying to offer something for everybody. So if you do want to add some natural earthy pads to your music, definitely check out Organic Textures through the Spitfire website. So I hope you got value out of today's video. If you did, definitely go check out my Albion Solstice First Impressions playthrough and one of my other videos as well. And as always, happy composing.